Keith Shibata Ramsey had once been a towering figure in Jamaica's entertainment scene, a man whose name was synonymous with comedy, flamboyance, and unapologetic authenticity. A pioneer of sorts, Shibata made waves as one of the first openly gay media personalities on the island. His rise to stardom came on the backs of his daring, often risque performances in some of Jamaica's most popular comedic shows, especially in the thriving theater scene. His larger-than-life personality, quick wit, and magnetic presence on stage captivated audiences who adored his comedic theatrics, flamboyant flair, and fearless approach to taboo subjects. He was celebrated not just as a comedic genius, but as a trailblazer for the LGBTQ plus community in a society that had historically been hostile toward them. Keith's authenticity in the face of such adversity was inspiring, but as quickly as the star rose, it fell. Keith's gradual descent from the dizzy heights of fame to his current desolate state had many causes. His once cherished comedic persona, which had been a vehicle for social critique, was no longer enough to shield him from the tides of homophobia and negativity that were increasingly coming his way. His invitations to big productions became fewer, his once revered persona began to fade into the background, and he was no longer the darling of the stage. This caused Keith to fall into darkness. The rejection took a toll on Keith. He had always been a man with a sharp tongue, but it soon became evident that the sharpest of his words were now directed inward. It was as though his fame had turned against him, stripping him of his sense of purpose, leaving him with bitterness and resentment. His comedy, once a tool of liberation, became a vehicle for vitriol. As the shows stopped coming in, Keith's social circle shrank. His fans, many of whom had idolized him, started to turn away, no longer willing to support a man who had seemingly abandoned his artistry for bitterness. Now Keith was reduced to a shadow of his former self. He lives in a small tenement yard, perched on the roof of his dilapidated fridge, his new kingdom of isolation. His once bright personality had dimmed, replaced by harsh, cynical remarks and vulgarities. Where once he had commanded an audience with humor, now he demanded attention with crude insults, lashing out at anyone who happened to cross his paths. His words, once filled with wit and charm, had become unfiltered, full of malice. No one was safe from his tirades. Friends, strangers, even those who still tried to support him. His social media pages are now littered with outbursts and rants. He is reducing himself from a powerful comedian to someone that just sits online and argues every day, but he does not care. But perhaps the saddest part of Keith's downfall wasn't the vulgarity or the bitterness. It was the people who still wanted to help, who still saw his value as an artist and as a human being, found themselves helpless. He had barricaded himself in a fortress of disdain, and the man who once captivated the world with his humor and heart has lost his way. Keith Shibata Ramsey continues to sit on his fridge top, muttering crude words to anyone who dares to listen. A fallen star in the eyes of the world, but still a figure with potential to rise, if only he would allow himself the chance to heal.